Hey, everybody, this is Charles Dobens. Welcome back to this week's edition of the Multifamily Investing Academy podcast. I am your host, Charles Dobens, the founder of Multifamily Investing Academy, the Multifamily OS system, the H2A hotel to apartment conversion program with my partner, David Peters, and also, which we'll be talking about more, is investment property risk advisors, our insurance arm for all of our clients. And I have with me today another fellow attorney, but this guy actually bills you. I don't bill you. I just take it out of your credit card.
I'm billing you right now.
Are you really? Damn. All right, this is gonna be the shortest conversation ever. Do you do it in 6-minute increments or 10-minute increments?
We don't do hourly, actually, except in very rare circumstances. We do everything flat.
Exactly. I mean, that's the way to go. His name is Richard Robinette. I met him. He came to my first hotel to apartment conversion summit, and he was our securities attorney specialist. And folks, I love a good dry sense of humor, and I got one with Richard. I to this day, there are certain jokes that I remember, from years gone by, but the one that he laid on me I still had to kind of like look up and think, did I just hear that one right? And then, yeah, I did hear that one right. And to this day, I still laugh at it every time I hear it. And I'm not going to tell you what it is. You got to come to our conversion summit so you get to meet Richard in person and find out what it's all.
Save it there. Yeah, come for the jokes. Stay for the hotels and apartments.
Exactly. And that's what you get when you get the two of us in a room. He's a multifamily investor, speaker, business consultant, commercial real estate, and securities attorney. And I am being paid to say this, an all-around nice guy. So
checks in the mail.
Exactly. Checks in the mail. Exactly. Richard, good to see you again, buddy.
Good to see you. How you doing?
Very well. Very well. Killing
awesome.
It. I tell you this. I mean, you were there at the genesis of the hotel to apartment conversion. You were there when 25 people signed up to be in my first cohort. And I got to tell you, we're getting our first deal that was about a little more than 60 days ago. We're getting our first deal under contract tomorrow. We have another purchase and sale contract that's going to get executed next week. Before I got on the phone with you, one of the people there just sent me another email, said that their offer was accepted. I have never worked so hard and had more fun than the hotel conversion business. The opportunities are bigger than I've ever seen before, and it's a blast. It's an absolute blast.
That's awesome. I actually had a consultation on one this morning.
Oh, did you really?
Yes, with one of your students.
Oh, very cool. Very
exciting stuff. Yeah.
All right. Well, I will find out. I'm not going to ask you anymore. I'm going to ask on Thursday for our weekly, conversion call, and see if anybody wants to talk about Richard Robinette and the talk. Now, okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room. I gotta know: is there any relation? Do you know what I mean?
No. Any relation
to our president?
Oh, yes, Joseph Robinette Biden.
I saw that the other day, and I thought, he didn't even tell me that you come on.
Not that I know of.
Okay.
So I've never been to a family reunion with the guy or anything. Yeah. So
you would know. You would know if you did. But he wouldn't have a clue. But so it's for those of you listening at home, and I'm referring to Joseph Robinette Biden. His middle name is the same as Richard's, which threw me for a curveball when I saw it. I thought, come on. So, all right. Well, here's what I want to talk to you about. Just last week, one of my students sent me a link to a trade magazine article. The trade magazine was The Real Deal, and it had to do with a competitor of mine in the multifamily mentor space, Brad Sumrock. Did you see that article?
No.
It was a hit piece. I'm no fan of Brad Sumrock, but I don't want to see anybody, have to live through that. but they basically slammed him and said that his deals are falling apart because of the economy. They bought him the wrong way. They bought floating interest rates. They're getting cash calls now. They're getting the properties are going to fail. He's trying to be just like who's the other guy? Grant Cardone, and he's a Grant Cardone wannabe. Which as I said to Jillian, I sent it back to Jillian. I said, boy, comparing yourself to Grant Cardone is damning with faint praise in my book. I wouldn't want to be called that. But it was actually Jillian, your predecessor, so to speak, Jillian Sidoti, who sent me the article because she used to do a lot of work for Brad Sumrock, and you guys might have inherited that.
We do work with Brad Sumrock and with Grant Cardone.
Okay.
So I can't comment on anything, privileged or whatever.
Right.
I did see a similar article about an individual in Texas who'd gotten several properties foreclosed for
who was a
floating interest rates and over leveraging and all that jazz.
Right.
This guy had been in the Sumrock program in the past,
right,
and had some that they made some connection to Grant Cardone too, and really just tried to do a guilt by association thing with those guys, which I thought was particularly unfair. I work with Grant, and he is super conservative on his leveraging. Like he's not doing ridiculous floating bridge loans.
I heard
this stuff.
I heard he's doing a deal in Chicago, like a 550 unit Class A tower property in downtown Chicago, cash. And that someone told me that yesterday. You want to talk about super conservative on your leverage? It doesn't get any better than that, right there.
We've done a few cash deals this year, actually, not with Cardone, but with other clients.
Really?
With cap rates being where they are compared to interest rates, it makes sense to go with cash. And if you've got the investors for it, then
if the price, if you're stealing the property, absolutely do it. You will never lose money. The only thing that could happen to you is you don't pay your tax bill. Other than that, that thing's just gonna, you have a lot of room in there to make mistakes and still be
taxes
safe.
And insurance are kind of the two that'll get you.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. If you buy the insurance the wrong way, exactly. But I tell you, my question to you, and I'm not speaking specifically about any one particular client or anything like that. I'm talking about the process. And I want you to kind of, and the reason why I know the answers to these questions I'm going to ask you is, I've already lived it once. So I've already, been on the downturn of a cycle that with syndicated deals. Talk about the risks that GPs take, when they get cash calls, when they, have to drop the keys back on the bank's desk. And also, do some of these guys run risks with some of the claims they made that are, like, hey, you can't lose with this deal, those types of statements, are those going to come back and bite some of these guys in the ass?
Someone's going to try to make them bite them in the ass.
I think we know who that is, don't we? The SEC.
There's the SEC. There's state securities regulators are usually even more
that's
eager to jump into the mix. There's kind of a fine line between like making a substantive promise and puffery.
Yeah.
And so obviously if they go to court, they're going to argue, oh, this is puffery. This is, just we're the best. That's subjective or whatever. And the plaintiffs are going to say, no, you were promising that you would, have all these amazing things happen. Cardone just had an attempted class action dismissed with prejudice the other day. Like, dismissed for a second time. It was dismissed and went to the appeals court. The appeals court reinstated it and they dismissed it again. But the claims in that one were just, ludicrous in my opinion, because, they were saying things like, oh, Cardone, promised us that we'd have this 5% cash on cash return. And he did say he was targeting a 5% cash on cash return, but all he was able to deliver was 4.95% cash on cash, and it was one of these deals that it looks to me like the guy, now deceased actually, but he looks like he invested for the purpose.
I'm suing him.
Lawsuit. He was an accredited investor. He invested the bare minimum. And then exactly a year and a day later, I think it was, he filed suit, which was just.
Okay, let me tell you. Okay, that brings up a very good point that we can educate everybody here. When you're talking about bringing on investors, one of the most important things is not just having, the bare minimum substantive relationship with the investor so that you satisfy the SEC requirements, but actually having a relationship with the investor, because these guys become your partners. You're going to be working with these people for the next 7 years. You better like them. And so, you take somebody like this guy on who is just looking for a payday. Why would you want to do business with a guy like that? And you're better off just really knowing who you're doing business with. And so instead of, doing these broad solicitations, get to know your investors.
I think it's just, playing at a different level when you're doing, $10 million apartment complexes. It's realistic for an individual to build that network of investors, get to know them, and be able to fund those kinds of deals. If you're funding $1 billion worth of real estate, you're going to have to go to the general public, and the particular case in question with Cardone was a Regulation A, which is called the mini IPO. Yeah. And so it was an offering to the general public, which is, unfortunately going to bring that attention and whatnot. But I have a hard time seeing someone play that big without being able to go to the general public, to play it at the $1 billion level rather than maybe the 10 or $20 million level.
Yeah. Man, so how many investors were in that group action? I appreciate you calling it a group action and not a class action.
Well, it was, they tried to certify a class. I don't think they succeeded, but this was one investor.
Oh, so it was just one investor
It was one investor.
Oh, wow. God.
I don't know. Now, I didn't follow the case real closely. We're not litigators. We weren't involved with the suit, but I don't even think that they tagged on additional plaintiffs. And I don't believe they even succeeded in certifying class. So this is just one guy making a stink. Of course, headlines blow it out of proportion.
Yeah. Yeah, boy, yeah, we should give that guy's name out so we can blacklist him and make sure he doesn't get into anything.
But he's dead. He passed. He's dead. So his daughter was trying to carry on the
legal legacy. Yeah. Wow. All right. So what do you think is going to happen? Like, what's the process with some, like, for instance, if the bank comes in and takes it back, what's the recourse from for the investors?
As an equity investor, you're kind of scrummed. Like, debt is senior to equity. So in the event of a default, when, everything's going to be liquidated, those debt holders are all going to get paid first, and then pref equity investors, and then regular equity investors, which is what most of us are. All of my deals are regular equity. So if my deal sponsors, completely blow their deal and get their properties taken away, that's it. There's probably no money for me.
Yeah.
And then my only recourse, maybe I go after them if they misrepresented the nature of the deal, if they lied to me, if they falsified financials. And maybe they did, maybe they didn't. They could just be bad at business.
And not only that, but what do you think the likelihood of success on those merits would be when there's no money behind it? You could win.
Your likelihood of success is probably slim, because hopefully you signed an investment document, and that had all the risk factors you agreed to accept. That's our business, is writing those documents, and we are sitting in a room brainstorming all the ways that this could go wrong. Don't say we didn't warn you. And then your likelihood of collecting is probably even less, because they already had a property taken away. If they had money, they could have saved it.
Exactly.
Yeah. But the things I think that people got into, and we kind of got back in the same thing that we saw in 2007, where real estate's always going to go up, isn't it? It's always going to be great. Interest rates are always going to be down. I'm 30 years old. I've never seen, an interest rate above 4%, right? Those of us that lived a little longer, like, wait a second, 7's a more normal percent, really,
Yeah.
right? And so you had people taking these short-term bridge loans or loans with adjustable rates or whatever, never thinking that rates could triple in a year. And here we are.
Yeah. I mean, you see that that fund, I can't remember the name of it. The big fund that all those guys were using. Robert Martinez was using it with Rockstar Capital.
Rockstar.
Yep. And then who else was in there? Oh, that guy I can't remember his name. But he's got a huge, like $1.6 billion fund, and now he's in trouble. He's got 25% of his properties on the watch list, and it's probably going to grow as they get closer to the maturity dates. So it's we're in for a hurt coming up. I mean, how's that going to impact what you guys do? I mean, I've already pivoted. I'm looking at the hotel conversions, because that already is like shooting fish in a barrel.
I tell you what, I'd never learned anything about hotel conversions until I went to your summit, and it's really the math behind those was really amazing to me, and like the ability to actually, in a sense, develop low income housing, affordable housing.
Yeah, without the use of the government, and
right,
great returns. The numbers all work. And that was the thing is, like you said, it's a math problem. It's just a math problem, and the numbers. And David Peters, my partner, guy's brilliant at numbers, and he looked at it 6 ways to Sunday the first time he did it and said, "I got to do this. This is crazy," and he was right, and he won big. So yeah. So that's so yeah, we'll be sending you some business. We're gonna now let's talk about joint venture partnerships, or are you doing anything like that for people?
We do those, yeah. I mean,
Good.
joint venture is kind of a generic umbrella term. It can mean a lot of things, but really, when I'm talking about joint ventures, I'm talking as opposed to syndications and issuing securities to raise money. And the only real difference there is whether your investors are active investors or passive investors, right? Are they involved in the actual business as a participant, or are they just putting money in, hoping someone else will do something and they'll get money back? The latter there is a security where we got to jump through all these regulations and hoops. Getting a handful of people together and just let's go work together. Everyone's got a role, buy a property, rehab it, convert it to an apartment, or whatever we're going to do. Yeah, we do those all day long, and it's cool. From a security standpoint, it's great because you don't have regulators breathing down your neck the whole time.
Exactly. Which is why we're doing it.
I guess the downside of it is, one, your group needs to stay small.
Yeah.
There's only so many jobs to do, right? So you're not going to have 40 people, JVing on a deal, right? And the other issue is, like, with everybody kind of having their own piece of the business and operating the business, personality conflicts and things start to show themselves. So you got to really trust your core group of people before you get married to them for, what could be 7, 8, 9 years on a deal. So
now, how do you do it? Do you structure that joint venture as an LLC with members? Oh, you
almost always, yeah.
Okay, perfect. And then do you use, so can LLCs be members in that partnership?
Absolutely.
Excellent. Good. Yeah, that's the great way to do it. So yeah, I tell you, this is we are very excited about this hotel conversion, and I'll tell you, Richard, I'm looking forward to working with you on these, because that's going to be a lot of fun. I know you guys have done a fantastic job. You guys have a lot of business. You guys are the go-to crowdfunding securities attorney in my space, which I absolutely love, because first of all, I met you. Your partner and I were in a business cohort together, and then you showed up at the hotel. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? I mean, what were they sent me like
hippie.
some hippie with long hair who is in a rock band who doesn't know all the chords. I know he doesn't. And
power chords, that's all you need.
That's all. Yeah. 1, 4, 5. That's all.
Right.
Yeah. So I say that as I'm sitting here next to my piano right there in my office, because that's my jam. I look at you guys and I'm like a little green with envy, like, oh, he really did it. He did it. He was out there doing it. He did it. So yeah, and then you show up. We had a great time. You did a fantastic job. You really laid it out there perfectly. And the biggest, and I'm sitting there listening to you talk. I'm thinking to myself, he's right. He's explaining it all correctly, but there's so many people that are doing it wrong. And you even said you've been to some of those conferences, who shall remain nameless, where they put people on their stage after you got up there to speak, and they were saying, hey, yeah, about here, I collect 3% finder's fee, and all this bullshit. Like, oh my God, no, don't do it.
You can get licensed, or there's ways of employing finders and whatever. So there's, you can do it. Most people are just kind of willy-nilly, not, just flouting the rules. And that kind of scares me a little bit, but.
Because, I tell you, we have not heard from the SEC for the last 10 years or so, ever since the Jobs Act. But as soon as the market turns and as soon as people start losing their money, then they're going to start finding out that, people were doing these things and they weren't supposed to. Like, where have you been for the last 10 years? So I'm no fan of the SEC, Richard. So
no, I actually found it interesting. I keep seeing all these headlines about Ripple. Ripple, I guess, got a big victory in their thing, and then the price of Ripple or XRP goes up, and the price of Bitcoin goes up, and so the SEC loses, and the investors do better. Yeah. Explain this to me. Explain it. Like, if you're protecting the investors, why are the markets going up when you lose? I don't understand.
I was in a partnership that got sued by the SEC back in 2009, and the investors in our property got their own attorney to represent them against the SEC. And they came to court and they wanted to speak before the judge, and the SEC said, no, we don't want to hear from them. And we're like, they're the people you're supposed to be protecting. We know what they're going to say. No, you don't. They're going to tell you to leave the Dobenses alone and let them finish their work. It's unbelievable. That was 35 investors showed up in court to support us. And, the SEC just, they don't care. They just want to pelt on their wall. That's it.
And it makes sense because, as an investor, if your deal sponsor, your issuer gets in trouble with the SEC, they're going to have fines. Where's that money come from? They're going to have disgorgement, because they have to give the money back to the investors. But they've already invested in a property that they've maybe torn up and brought to 40% occupancy, and they need to finish for anyone to make any money. And if they have to stop and be like, well, here's what we can pay you back of what's left, the deal's destroyed.
Yep, exactly.
So yeah, as an investor, I'd be terrified if my deal sponsor got in trouble with the SEC. And that's why when I'm investing myself, I'm triple checking their lawyers' work, and I want to make sure that, everything is buttoned up so there's not going to be trouble. And if they're making ridiculous marketing claims that I think might get them in trouble, or if I think, their business plan doesn't make sense and there's going to be a cash call, like, I'm staying away. Not only because this may be a bad deal, but also because regulators might just trash the deal. Right.
Well, I feel confident that, I have so many clients of mine who are clients of yours. And, I was really amazed when I had you in Chicago, and some client, oh yeah, he did my paperwork. Oh yeah, he did my paperwork. Yeah. And I'm like, wow, that is great. That is so cool. So yeah, you guys do a great job, and we're gonna keep on working with you because it's easy. Let me ask you one question. This kind of this one I don't know the answer to. What's some of the issues that you see with other attorneys' work product for securities? Like security, first off, number one is you don't hire a GP attorney, a general purpose attorney, to do securities. It is the toughest part of the law. And it is, when I was getting my malpractice insurance and they asked me what my specialties were, I saw that securities is the most expensive malpractice coverage out there. So what is it? What do some of these people do wrong when they're practicing law?
Well, I think you nailed one of them, is going to a general practitioner for securities work.
Yeah.
And someone who's general practitioner only does an offering here, an offering there, probably isn't paying for that malpractice insurance. So that, insurance, and that is super expensive.
Yeah.
And there's almost like a critical mass you need to be doing before that insurance is even affordable. So, there's a big one, is asking their uncle who does wills and trusts to, I don't know, PPM. We had an incident a couple of years ago where this guy was an issuer. He had worked with us in the past, and his father was an attorney. And then I saw an offering from him, and it was our work product, like with just like the law firm name changed. And this is a new deal, so this is fund number 6 or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, this is word for word our document, like that we prepared for, so and I'm guaranteed that his father was just had a shingle hung, and I'm pretty sure probably didn't have securities insurance or whatever. So
I'll tell you.
And the rules had changed in the meantime, so there were some pretty significant changes to Reg D back in around 2020, and it had all the old language.
All right. I don't know. I think I've heard this story before. I think I might have heard it from Jillian, because when she was with the other attorney that she was with, they had sent it back out to a tax attorney to have it updated in light of all the changes to the law. And they got it back, and it was a beautiful document. And then they started seeing it like from the same guy was using their exact same wording. Yeah. And he's out there. Yeah, it's crazy. It's great. I did that one time. So I have this earnest money deposit program that I will lend my clients the money for the earnest money. And there's certain structure. It's only can be done by an attorney, because, it's the equivalent of a hard money loan, but there's no real estate. So it's all secured by contracts. And so I'm on the contracts. I've drafted the contracts. I know exactly the process. And this guy and somebody started offering an earnest money deposit program. I was like, wait a minute, this is my idea. Somebody's out there doing it. Yeah. And then he got burnt because the money went hard. Okay, rule number 1, you never let the money go hard. Okay. And so and the whole process for how to take care of that. And they said, hey, can you just take a look at his contracts, because I want to see if there's any way out. I said, this was a Virginia client asking me to take a look at a California guy's contract. He wasn't an attorney. He was just the lender looking at a California contract. And they send it over to me. I said, this is my contract. And they said, no, this came from him. I said, oh, really? Why would a California company do business with a Virginia client and use the choice of form and the choice of law as Massachusetts? Why would that possibly be? I mean, you'd think he'd read the contract first.
Massachusetts is so business friendly.
Oh my God, don't get me started. Don't get me started. Look at you. Well, wait a minute. You're Texas, and you went to school up in Chicago. But man, you're in Colorado now. So you're kind of like, yeah, I mean, they're pretty liberal up there.
It's well, I'm around Colorado Springs, which, because of the military presence here, it's actually a rather conservative area that I'm in.
Yeah.
The state overall, yeah, it's certainly more liberal than Texas, but I mean, I've lived in California too, so I kind of find it pretty balanced here.
Yeah.
So my property taxes are a lot lower than Texas, even though my
Oh,
house
really?
is bigger, so go
Oh,
figure.
really? But you got to pay income taxes. Did Texas have income taxes?
Texas not. Well, Texas has a franchise tax and LLCs, but not like an actual personal income tax.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm no fan of Texas. I think Texas is grossly overrated. So, all right. Hey, listen, how do people get your t-shirts? And I say that because I wore your t-shirt today to the gym. I have so many of your t-shirts. You guys always come up with some great t-shirts. I think I do not have the whole franchise of your t-shirts. I always see new ones popping up. But how can people get a hold of you to work with you?
Sure. Richard at crowdfundinglawyers.net is my email address, crowdfundinglawyers.net. And or our phone number is super, super easy. It's 469-444-9999.
Wow.
So we ought to be in like personal injury with that phone number.
Yeah, exactly. Put you on a billboard with that one. Jeez. So, well, folks, if you're listening, I highly recommend these guys. I worked with Jillian. They were friendly competitors. And then when Jillian decided to get out of the business, she went right to these guys, and it was a perfect match. They had continued to take care of my clients and Jillian's clients after that transition. They did a great job, and so many of my clients turned to these guys to do their securities work. You can't beat them. So definitely, and Richard is a funny bastard, and then your partner. God, what's his name? I can't. I don't. What's his name? What's your partner's name?
Nate Dodson.
Nate Dodson.
Legal Nate on all the socials. Start to get on any social media. Legal Nate. He's a content machine. Legal Nate.
Yep. I was on I had never met him. I just heard so much about him from Jillian. And when he got on the Zoom call, 25 people, and I'm looking around, who do I know? And I see his name, Nate Dodson. I'm like, wow. No, that can't be. What would crowdfunding lawyers Nate Dodson be doing on this business call? And so I sent him a private message. I said, "Are you Nate Dodson?" He goes, "Yeah, Charlie, how you doing?" And it's like, so we knew each other from so many things, but it just had never met. We met over Zoom. So you're in good company, Richard. It's I really enjoy working with you guys. So you got the phone number. Remember, it's crowdfundinglawyers.net. Richard at crowdfundinglawyers.net. 469-444-9999.
See how easy that was?
How easy? I look at you. Knew I didn't write anything down. That was all straight from. I listened, man. That's what got me through law school. Yeah, that and the fact that I missed the night in law school when they were teaching law. Ever heard that insult? What the hell's wrong with you? Did you miss the night in law school when they were teaching law? So
it is only one night that they teach it. So
the rest is
everything else is a debate club, right?
Exactly. Yes. What to do when you're there. So, Richard, thank you so much. Good to see you. I hope to see you at some of our upcoming seminars. You're not making it to Las Vegas, is that right?
No, we are making it to Las Vegas.
Yes. Oh, excellent. Good. It'll be so good to have you. And then by that time, through the hotel apartment conversion, we're going to have mutual clients together. So that's going to be awesome. You're going to get a ton of business from us. Yeah, this is awesome. All right, buddy. Good to see you. And I'll see you in November.
Man, thank you so much.
Yeah. See you, Richard.